Hello, and thank you for giving us another opportunity to spend some time with you on Stairway to Health, brought to you by Health Experts Canada. We've got some great ideas, new information, and hopefully a few laughs for you today. Who knows, if you're not careful, you may learn something.
Welcome, everybody, to the Stairway to Health podcast. I'm your host, Frank Pirri, and today I'd like to welcome a very special guest of ours, Dr. Lee No. Dr. No is a licensed naturopathic doctor, recipient of several awards, almost too many to mention. He has held positions as medical advisor, scientific evaluator, and director of research and development for major organizations within the natural product industry. He is the author of a very interesting book, one of the ways in which we first met, the author of Mitochondria and the Future of Medicine. And he also leads scientific affairs for Cannanda. He is a consultant to other natural health product brands in the industry, and I'm just thrilled to finally have him here with us on the Stairway to Health podcast. So welcome, first of all, and as I said, we first met each other when you were researching the human mitochondria for a book that you were writing at the time, and that goes back many years. It's an amazing book, and since then, you've moved on to even bigger and better things inside the health and wellness space. So, Doc, tell us a little more about you, the person, and Lee, Dr. Lee, the busy healthpreneur.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you, Frank. I guess my journey is interesting because going through school to be a naturopathic doctor, I didn't think of, if I could predict where I'd be. I definitely wouldn't have thought that I'd be in this position with Cannanda. But one of the things that I've always been passionate about is nutritional sciences and botanical medicine. And as much as I enjoyed private practice, the best part of my day was when I got to go home and start to do the research to see what a particular patient might be in terms of their diagnosis, might be experiencing, and then coming up with treatment plans. And that one of the things that I thought would be great is if I could find a position with the company that would allow me to do something like that full time. And I ended up getting hired on with a regulatory consulting firm, one of the most recognized regulatory consulting firms in Canada. And then from there, just really opened the door to the natural health products industry. So I kind of got recruited from company to company doing product development. And then it was as the start of the discussion around cannabis legalization in Canada. And I've always had an interest in cannabis, and even prior to cannabis legalization and my role with Cannanda, I've always kind of looked at cannabis as medicine, and it was actually recommending it on the down low for different scenarios. And so when the Cannabis Act started to become more of a reality, and I started to understand the nuances within the regulations and understanding the gaps, and then kind of dovetailing it with my passion with respect to botanical medicine and nutrition, I felt that there was definitely a gap in the market that a brand like Cannanda could fill, and that's how we're here today. So what's really interesting is, as you know, CBD is a very popular ingredient and compound, but with the way that the Cannabis Act is written, the only legal way to get CBD is through a government licensed cannabis dispensary. One of the reasons why all the brands that want to launch CBD can't have CBD right now because they need a cannabis license to even touch it. So we've kind of come up with an alternative to CBD, and the great thing with this is, at least within our experience over the last, we're almost a 7-year-old company now. We've seen that in terms of the success rate that we're getting, it's actually a lot greater than CBD. So we have a lot of people that have used CBD, heard about CBD and all the benefits and all the miracle stories that you hear, but when they try it, they're not getting the results that they expect. So they come to our brand, and you know what? Like I said, we're seeing the success. They're finding the success that they were looking for, that they didn't get with CBD.
That's unbelievable, man. I mean, seriously, it sounds like an incredible amount of work on your part. I mean, the fact that you're so passionate about the research, that's something that I can relate to, because with so much interest inside the health and wellness space, and there's so much noise out there coming at us from every angle as to what's the hottest, latest, and greatest. But it definitely seems like this area of health medicine, this area of medical cannabis and medicinal cannabis, and it has a place. It's funny because it's an all natural herb. In essence, that's exactly what it is. It's a medicinal herb, and it has tremendous health benefits to people out there, but there's still this stigma that's attached to it. You know, even though it's been legalized here in Canada, and I know you call Toronto home, I'm curious, being a busy doctor, entrepreneur, businessman, researcher, father, right? What do you do to keep yourself healthy and full of the necessary energy to keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that's really important is that I love what I do, and I'm super grateful for the position I'm in, because I get to wake up every morning energized to continue to do what I do here, which is not only develop new products for Cannanda, but interact with all our customers. You know, we get not only questions in terms of, hey, you know what, I have this, what can I take, and what do you have for this? But what really energizes me are the stories that we get back. So we have thousands of testimonials with respect to people using our products, and we get them daily. And some of these stories that you hear are incredible. And when, you hear stories of people trying all sorts of different pharmaceuticals, not having success, and, this is the only thing that worked for them, I don't know how, if you're in the health industry, how that can't energize you, right? So that is one thing. I think doing what you love, it no longer becomes work. I can spend all day doing what I do, and I get to go home and I still feel energized, whereas other people that dread going into work, a few hours a day, they're drained, right? So in that sense, I'm lucky, and that is something that keeps me going. But the other thing is that I also love the time I get to spend with my family. So we try to stay active, especially my younger one, who's at a stage where he really wants to spend time with me. And I know that's not going to last forever, so I soak that up. So anytime he says, hey, let's go play hockey on the street, I'm all for it. And that not only, I get to spend time with him and the rest of my family, but it's also physical activity. And I'm a huge proponent, an advocate for physical activity. And this actually relates back to my work with the mitochondria and how important physical activity is for the health of the mitochondria. And knowing that as we get older, physical activity, not just endurance, but weightlifting and things like that, becomes incredibly important. So I get that opportunity when I hang out with my family, and and on top of that, of course, eating a healthy diet is extremely important as well. So those three factors, I think, is what keeps me going.
I love that, actually, because so much of what we discuss at Health Experts Canada with our clients is about building that legacy of health, right? For not only yourself, but for the generations that follow your lead. I mean, children look to you, right? Look to us as adults, as parents, for that level of guidance. And more often than not, they learn more by action than they do by what we actually tell them to do. So it's critically important. And I love hearing you talk about how important spending that time with family is, because I think it truly is. Fantastic stuff. But let's get back to, Cannanda, CB2, the whole concept of the endocannabinoid system, because this is a complex area of discussion for people. Not a lot of people even understand how cannabis in and of itself, or the cannabinoids within the plant, work inside the human body. So we have this system called the endocannabinoid system. What is it, and how does it work?
Yeah, so this is an anciently preserved system. So it's common in and found in every vertebrate animal on the planet. So it's been with us for hundreds of millions of years, and evolved with us. So it main role is seen as the master regulator of homeostasis or balance within the body. So anytime a system or process in the body goes off balance, it's the job of the endocannabinoid system to jump into action and kickstart a series of processes that will help bring that body aspect or process back into balance or towards that normal balanced state. The thing is that we have compounds that our bodies produce called endocannabinoids. So these are cannabinoid compounds that our bodies produce that serve to activate those cannabinoid receptors in our body. However, in certain situations, and in particular, sometimes when we age, we naturally have a dysfunction that enters the endocannabinoid system. So it's no longer able to function effectively in bringing processes back to balance. And that's where external sources of cannabinoids, like from cannabis or our products, the CBD products, come into play, because now we are able to supplement the body's deficiency in endocannabinoids or the way they work and help the body come back into balance. Now, specifically with phytocannabinoids or external sources of cannabinoids, cannabis is often seen as the primary source. But what surprises a lot of people, it's not the only source. So what we use in our products is a terpene called beta-caryophyllene, and that is considered a dietary cannabinoid. It's found in many different spices and herbs and things like that. But I think a lot of people are even surprised to hear that something like echinacea has what they call echinacea achillamides that is considered a cannabinoid as well, and it binds to cannabinoid receptors, and that's one of the ways it's thought to actually bring about an immune response, because when you look at the endocannabinoid system, it is very heavily involved with the immune process, and of course the immune system is involved in things like inflammation and things like that. So when you target the immune system, you're having a direct effect on inflammation, and that's one of the ways that our product works for things like pain, but also one of the reasons why things like echinacea work so well for the immune system response.
Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty incredible stuff. So what I think appeals to me here is how you started early work with the written word and all your research on the mitochondria and the whole concept of aging and slowing down the aging process. And now it seems to easily have flowed into this whole concept of the endocannabinoid system and how we age and we lose certain functions within the body and how we can better serve the body's purpose, right? To keep us healthy and help us age healthy as we get older, instead of, deteriorating. So it's, you mentioned the word terpenes, and these terpenes, explain a little bit more about that, about what they are and where, you mentioned a couple other plants. So it's not just cannabis that we find these terpenes or cannabinoids, but where else can we find them and what are terpenes exactly?
Yeah, so terpenes, you can think of terpenes as the active compounds in essential oils. So essential oils are a complex mix of many different terpenes, but they also contain, different alcohols, aldehydes, ethers, esters, things like that. So often what we're looking at is a very specific component of those essential oils, which are the terpenes. And terpenes are what attributed to giving essential oils their aroma. So, they are typically regulated as flavors and fragrances. They're found in pretty much every plant. Every plant produces terpenes, and they're used for different purposes in the natural environment. So as an example, certain plants will produce certain terpenes to attract pollinators or repel pests. What's really cool is that I've come across some information to suggest that plants can collectively release terpenes to influence their external environment. So the situation that I read was in the case of a drought where a forest will collectively release terpenes, and terpenes are volatile compounds, so they evaporate, and these form the seeds for water vapor formation, so cloud formation. So these forests can cloud seed naturally through the use of terpenes and influence or increase the chance that it's going to rain. So really, really cool stuff. But what we're seeing from a human physiology point of view is that these terpenes have real physiological benefits. So, as an example, alpha pinene that is in one of our products targeting attention and focus, it's shown to inhibit an enzyme found in the brain related to attention and memory. So it's called acetylcholine esterase. It's also another product I mentioned. Beta caryophyllene is one of the nature's most powerful ingredients to activate CB2 receptors in the brain, actually more so than the compounds in cannabis. So these are, like I said, found in so many different plants, spices, fruits. If you're eating a healthy diet that's rich in fruits and spices, you're already consuming a healthy dose of terpenes. And like I said, you're going to get those physiological benefits. But one thing I should mention, though, is, and this is really interesting, and this is just my thinking, is that, I was asked, more recently, why would someone be encouraged to take terpenes outside of just, using a product for a very specific purpose like our products? In general, if you're to look at ingesting terpenes almost like a multivitamin, why would someone want to do that? And my thinking is that our modern way of agriculture, where we, grow fruits, as an example, thousands of miles away, pick them prematurely before their peak ripeness. We transport them thousands of miles, and they sit on a store shelf for days to weeks before they're sold. Well, in that process, if there was if there's any terpenes really there to begin with, they're going to evaporate. Like I said, terpenes are volatile compounds. So by the time we ingest it, we're actually consuming far less terpenes than our ancestors did when, they could go to their backyard and pick a ripe fruit that, you can smell the difference, right, between something that's fresh and ripe versus something that is industrially produced. So I think our modern way of eating and our food processing and agricultural industry has really reduced the amount of terpenes that we're naturally consuming, so that products like ours do have a role to fill outside of, like I said, taking them for very specific health conditions, even just general wellness, just increasing the amount of terpenes that we're consuming. I feel that there's a role to play there as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you mentioned the whole concept of aromatherapy oils and essential oils in that respect versus some of the oils that Cannanda has with these terpenes. So they're not just for smell, right? That you can ingest them.
Exactly. So I should also mention that when it comes to terpenes, there are, just like anything else, there are safe ingredients and maybe not so safe. So when we look at terpenes, there's thousands of different terpenes. We only use in our products terpenes that are deemed to be safe. They have something called GRAS status, or GRAS, which stands for generally recognized as safe. And that's a US-based food safety designation, meaning that these are food ingredients. So on top of that, we only use food grade and terpenes that are not just safe for humans, but also pets. So out of the thousands of terpenes, we really narrow our selection down to what we feel is a core group of terpenes that have the effects that we're looking for and that are proven to be safe, and that's what that we use. That being said, certain terpenes in various essential oils are problematic, and that's one of the reasons why certain essential oils shouldn't be administered to, say, children under 6, or certain essential oils should be avoided if you have dogs in the house, things like that. So we are very cognizant of what terpenes we use to make them as safe and effective as possible.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, because you do have a line within the Cannanda brand that is specific to animal or pet use. And it's funny because we have a lot of clients that use those particular products for their animals at home and receive tremendous benefit. The animals, dogs especially, less pain, better mobility, certainly healthier. They don't seem to catch the pet cold, if you will, as often. And people just, I don't know, it's amazing to me. I love animals. I'm a huge animal lover. And it always astonishes me how people will easily spend enormous amounts of time, money, and energy on their animals before even looking after themselves. But it's so important. And I was really happy to see that line of pet product in the Cannanda lineup.
Yeah, what's interesting is that we started out as a human nutrition company or human health company. Our dog products are our top sellers now. So that corroborates what you're saying, is that, people just do anything for their pets. And what's interesting is that really, when you look at the pet industry, there's nothing similar to what we're selling. So, with CBD as an example, even though there's a lot of black market CBD products on the market, they are kind of falling by the wayside. So a lot of individuals that were maybe using CBD for their pets are starting to look for alternatives. And I think they're starting to see our products in more and more places. And one of the reasons why I think it's now our top seller.
Yeah, makes sense. So outside of the pet products and outside of the terpene oils that certainly now make me want to take them on a daily basis, you have the CB2 oil, right? And this is from the hemp plant.
Just to kind of clarify, so our CB2 products, which is we have a line called CB2. That's all based on our proprietary blend, our CB2 blend, and that was a blend of terpenes developed to target the activation of CB2 receptors in the body. Now, that the pure terpene blend we call CB2 Wellness, and that comes in little aromatherapy vials, and you can use it in various ways. You can use it through inhalations, which is excellent. I just saw a study on how inhaled beta-caryophyllene, so the main terpene that we base the CB2 line on, it can help improve or reduce the damage from nicotine in the aorta. So really cool stuff. So through inhalation is an excellent way to use the CB2 Wellness. You can take it as an ingestible or sublingual, and you can even use it topically. Terpenes are well absorbed through the skin or transdermally. So there are a number of different ways to use that product. Now, to get what I think you're referring to, the product that you're referring to, we take that terpene blend and put it in a base of organic hemp seed oil. And that product is an ingestible only. The benefit to that is that you get all the nutrients that come along with hemp seed oil. So hemp seed oil is probably one of the best vegan sources of omega-3 fatty acids. And that's because it has a unique omega-3 fatty acid called SDA. And SDA, as you probably know, a lot of plant-based sources of omega-3s have to be converted into EPA and then onto DHA. And there's a rate-limiting enzyme that is very slow in that process. Well, SDA is one step beyond that rate-limiting enzyme. So its conversion into EPA is far more efficient than any other plant source. So, and hemp seed oil, outside of, say, genetically modified soy that's been bred specifically to increase its SDA content, hemp seed oil is likely the single best source of SDA. So again, one of the best sources of omega-3 fatty acids, or a non-marine source for vegans and vegetarians. So you get that in addition to the terpenes with our CB2 hemp seed oil.
So it's the best of all worlds, basically.
It is, yeah. Now, the only drawback to that is it's an ingestible only. So whereas the CB2 Wellness, you can use it through inhalation or you use it topically. But I will say the CB2 hemp seed oil, for the longest time until our doggies products took the lead, has always been our top seller.
Well, now, getting back to the inhalation. So a lot of people are into aromatherapy. A lot of people have these vaporizers or have these diffusers in their homes, right? To help, and they use different essential oils to help make their home smell nicer, better, cleaner. Are your wellness blends, are you able to use those in diffusers or even humidifiers or something like that to put the smell in the air?
100%. Yeah. And you know what? Terpenes being volatile compounds, nature has kind of developed them to be best absorbed through the lungs. So one of the ways that when we're looking at our pure terpene blends, again, not the versions with hemp seed oil, but just the terpene blends, what we call direct inhalation, where you put a few drops in the palm of your hands, you rub your hands together, cup them around your nose and your mouth, and you just take slow, deep breaths for a minute. And as those terpenes evaporate off the palm of your hands, they get absorbed through the lungs, and that's an excellent way to use our products. But you can also use it through aromatherapy diffusers. In those situations, I think you might not be getting the full benefit because those terpenes are getting diluted into the air. But if you want to get more of a therapeutic dose, you can put your face over the vapors as they're released, and then take your slow, deep breaths that way. And the idea is you want to get them into your lungs, and that's where they get absorbed. I should also mention the benefit to that is when you inhale something, not only is the bioavailability a lot greater than, say, if you were to ingest it, but the effects are almost immediate. So when you're looking at, using our CB2 wellness blend for something like an anxiety attack, you use it through direct inhalation and the effects will kick in within seconds to a minute or so, versus say if you were to take something that's an ingestible for anxiety, you're looking at least half an hour, maybe longer, for it to kick in. And those minutes count when you're under distress. So inhalation is definitely something that's very quick acting, probably the way that nature wanted us to administer these types of products.
It's funny. It puts me in mind of years gone by and history with my grandmother, who used to carry a handkerchief with her, and she used to, put lavender oil in the handkerchief, and she would always, bring it to her nose and smell it throughout the day. And I never, obviously it was probably to help keep her calm to some degree. We got that hot Italian blood running through our veins, but I guess it's the same similar process here. The nice thing about your wellness blends and those terpene oils, they come in very small bottles, little small vials. So people can carry them with them very easily. I know I've carried them in my pocket. They're non-intrusive.
Yeah, very, very easy, convenient to use. And like you said, they're very small. So, and one of the things that's important to note is that even though the vials themselves look small, they're 5 ml vials, you're only using, a couple drops at a time. So when you look at, sometimes people think $30 for this little thing, it's really, when you break it down on a cost per dose basis, it's actually very economical. That one little vial will last you months.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to say you don't need a lot to get the effect.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Well, I love this. I mean, this is so interesting to me, because here is a clean, clear, easily available way for people to walk into their local health food store or wellness space and purchase a product like this from Cannanda, or these products in general, and not only receive benefit for themselves and their family, but for their loved ones, their animals, their pets. It's fascinating to me. And this whole arena of botanicals and what they're exposing us to now, the more we dig, the more we research, it's amazing. So I love this. Well, I'll dive into a few more lifestyle things here, and then we'll get back to the CB2. But at Health Experts Canada, we encourage our clients to create their very own personal affirmations, mantras, something that holds a special meaning to them, right? And it helps them to stay grounded, and it helps lead them to reaching levels of success in everything that they do. And being a successful doctor, naturopath, researcher, developer, and of course, father, what's an original Dr. Lee quote or affirmation that has meaning to you, and how do you apply it to your life?
That's an excellent question. And as I think through that process, I don't know if I can answer that with any one particular quote or affirmation. I'm a huge advocate of positive affirmations and positive self-talk. And I truly understand the value of that, especially when you start to think of things like the law of attraction and manifestation, and even the placebo effect. The way we think has a tremendous influence on all areas of our life, and particularly our health. So I think without avoiding the question and coming up with an original quote, I think just having that positive attitude, that positive self-talk, and constantly reminding yourself of the different positive affirmations that you can say to yourself is going to enhance your life in so many ways that you can't even imagine. And this area is actually such a strong passion of mine that we actually developed. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but very recently we launched a new product called Sesh, Sesh Intention, and it was developed as a room spray. But what's interesting is that it's based on science into the placebo effect. And of course, as you know, the placebo effect is the phenomenon where if you think and believe a certain outcome, in a certain outcome, that outcome is likely to happen. So it's really that it illustrates the power of the mind, the mind over matter. And one of the things that the research is showing is that if you have a well-functioning endocannabinoid system, that placebo effect is more likely to become a reality versus someone that has a dysfunctional endocannabinoid system. So we've kind of incorporated our terpenes and our CB2 blend into this sesh spray with the intention that you spray this, you take that opportunity to think positively, to clear your mind of any negative thoughts. And the idea is that we want people to use this and it become a daily ritual in terms of positive thinking. And so again, not to kind of avoid the question of an original affirmation or a quote, it is something in general that I'm really passionate about. And I really encourage people to just take that time, be grateful for what you have, and think positively about yourself and the others around you and your life moving forward.
Well, you know what? That's fair. I mean, let's be honest. I created my own personal affirmation, my personal mantra, probably close to 30 years ago. And I'm not very public about what it is. I think it's a very personal thing to people, right? And I start every single day with it. Like the moment my eyes open in bed, it's the very first thing that I recite. It's the very first thing that I think about, and I put it out there. And it's funny because talking about sesh and talking about the whole phenomenon behind the
placebo effect,
effect. Sorry, thinking about all of that. I've been doing a lot of research lately into epigenetics and the whole concept of slowing down the aging process and how, our thoughts and our feelings really do translate into how our body functions, right? How we age and how we feel. It is a pretty incredible phenomenon. So I understand you wanting to keep it personal, and that's cool. But I do really appreciate and love the fact that you're a big supporter and proponent of it, because I think it's important for people, especially when trying to get healthy, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you know what? That's funny you say, talked about the aging process, because there was research that was published, I think I want to say a couple months ago, that looked at our attitudes towards aging and how that influences the aging process. So if you believe that aging is associated with debility, mobility issues, pain, suffering, things like that, well, guess what? That's likely going to be how you age. If you believe that aging can be healthy, you can stay vibrant as you age, disease-free, guess what? That is probably going to happen. So just, our thinking, our beliefs around the aging process and what it means to be elderly has a huge influence of how we actually will age. And that is, a published peer-reviewed study that just came out recently.
Yeah, well, I'm working very hard at it, turning back the clock, as they say.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Okay, so the Stairway to Health podcast is all about, giving back, paying it forward. And we believe that as busy professional individuals, we share similar challenges when it comes to our personal states of health. Our belief is that health equals wealth. Wealth as it pertains to the quality of life that we have or that we desire to have, as just mentioned. What situation was it? Now, you may have to go back a bit, but what situation sparked your desire to improve your quality of life by helping other men and women improve theirs?
I'll go right back to high school because my interest in health started with high school biology, where I started to really understand how complex and intricate the human body is, and that kind of and growing up with my grandmother, who anytime we got sick, she'd be creating all these different concoctions and teas from traditional medicine, and so I grew up around traditional medicine, and I knew that health was always a part of my early childhood, and I knew that that's what I wanted to get into, knowing that if I did get into a health related field, it would certainly revolve around more the traditional side of health and medicine. And so I've always been interested in health, but I think it was more recently that, and I say recently as in maybe 5-6 years ago or so, where I started to understand, and I guess just my sedentary lifestyle. And as much as I want to say that I try to stay active, let's face it, my role and what I do does require me to sit for extended periods of time, not nearly as physically active as I would like to be or as I was in my earlier years. And I think that has really influenced the way my joints work. And there was a few injuries that I've had where, it took a long time to heal. And, as a kid, I, played rep hockey. I was a black belt in taekwondo. So a lot of, physical sports. And when I had injuries, I would bounce back within a day to a few days. This injury took weeks, if not, I think months to heal. And when it was my knee, and I remember hearing a pop, and it was just, the strength and the stability was compromised, and just limping around and understanding what a lot of people with mobility issues or osteoarthritis might be experiencing. I was like, holy cow, you know what? This has a huge impact on one's quality of life. And I think it was that really got me understanding and empathizing with a lot of what people are experiencing. And of course, when you empathize with someone, you really become a lot more involved in that, in those situations. So that's, I think, one of the things that really kind of drives me is trying to keep as many people as healthy as possible. And it really, for me, I guess I'm lucky because what we do at Cannanda, we can literally do that for thousands of people every day. Whereas, as a practitioner, I was dealing with a few patients on a daily basis. So I feel that being in this position and being a crusader for health and wanting to get people healthy and living the best quality of life that they can, I have the opportunity, a much bigger opportunity with Cannanda than I ever had, say, in a private practice.
I love that. I find that our whole outlook on health, between what we do at Health Experts Canada, what you're doing there with Cannanda, I mean, it really does resonate with me because, like I said, our belief, in our core, our belief is that health is wealth. And so, just trying to get that message out there to as many people as possible, however it may happen, whether it be through, public talks, whether it be working within the retail environment, whether it be helping to research for products and bring them to the marketplace so that they're more readily accessible by everyone. To me, it is so important. So I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate what you do. So, here we are, we've got this. I think people will understand that your products, although based on science, research, and how the body has responded to cannabis and some of these endocannabinoid receptors in the body and these terpenes and where they come from, people will not experience any negative side effects, no negative impact from Cannanda's products, the CB2 products, correct?
That's right. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are switching over to our CB2 products from something like CBD. So CBD, as an example, has a number of adverse drug interactions. Our products don't have any adverse drug interactions. Our products are also a lot safer if you're a drug tested athlete or an employee. So our products will not result in any, risk in terms of testing positive. And we actually have a world record holder power lifter from Toronto who discovered our products because he had a shoulder injury, and then nothing worked except our CB2 Wellness. He started using that both topically and as an ingestible, and it helped him with his recovery, helped him through training. And then when he broke the world record at a competition in Costa Rica, he was chosen for a drug test, and he passed. So, and we have a lot of people that work in public transit or the mining industry, as an example. All these individuals are starting to look to CB2 instead of CBD because they know there's zero risk. Now, CBD on its own should be clean, but what marketplace studies have shown is that the vast majority of them are contaminated with undisclosed amounts of THC. So, you might think you're getting pure CBD, but there could be some THC in there. So our product is going to be a lot safer for those individuals. Our products are also there's an extensive amount of toxicology studies done on the ingredients that we're using. So very safe for humans, very safe for dogs and most animals. So again, in terms of the safety, we take that very seriously. And again, that's one of the reasons why we're very selective in the terpenes and the specific ingredients that we use. So So there are a number of different ways that we kind of try to set ourselves apart from the cannabis industry.
It's amazing though what the whole cannabis industry sparked, right? I mean, it's amazing what it forced us to do by looking at these plants in a whole different light. I mean, even looking at hemp seed oil, natural hemp seed oil, as mentioned, as the base for one of your products. That to me is one of the most underrated omega supplements on the market. It's an incredible food oil. It's an incredible benefit health wise. I use it. I know a number of our clients that we've recommended it to use it. So yeah, it's just amazing where we've come to. I mean, we've come a long way, baby, as they say.
Yeah. So, well, what's interesting is that, and you mentioned right at the start of the interview, where there is a lot of stigma and a lot of confusion, and especially around the regulatory side of the cannabis industry. And just to kind of give you an idea of how confusing the regulations are and how sometimes illogical they can be, is that when it comes to the Cannabis Act, they have something called cannabis derivatives. So basically different compounds and products that can be made from cannabis. If they are made from cannabis, they're regulated under the Cannabis Act. But if they're not, they fall under a different regulatory framework. So when it comes to terpenes, again, I'll just pick D-limonene, which is from, you think of it as, the main scent compound from oranges and lemons and things like that. Well, if you get it from oranges, it's perfectly legal. It's regulated as a food, or maybe even, you can use D-limonene for things like GERD and heartburn and things like that as a natural health product. But if you extract D-limonene from cannabis, it falls under the Cannabis Act, illegal for sale in health food stores or anywhere else other than a government licensed cannabis dispensary. So here you have a compound, and it's the source that makes it legal or illegal. So if you get D-limonene, again, from cannabis, illegal. You get it from oranges, perfectly legal. So these are the things that I think the regulatory framework will eventually have to kind of sort out, because that really doesn't make sense.
No, it makes no sense at all. And it's no wonder that people are so confused when it comes to this stuff. So I'm glad that we were able to sort of clear some of that up. Ultimately, as busy entrepreneurs, especially inside the health and wellness holistic space, we're consistently trying to get our messages out to the masses. So tell us, Doc, where can people contact you or find you or your company? Social media, anything like that?
Yeah, so I think the two best places, one would be our website, which is Cannanda.com. So that's CANNANDA.com. The other is our social media, and more specifically, Instagram is where we're most active. And our handle is at Cannanda Crew. So Cannanda, CREW. So Cannanda Crew. We have a lot of information there. We're constantly putting out new information, and that is probably the best place to connect. Again, there's a lot of information on our website as well, but social media through Instagram is also probably the ideal place.
Awesome. Yeah. And I'll make sure that I drop those links and everything underneath the episode here. But I just want to say in closing, thank you so much, Dr. Lee. I really enjoyed speaking with you today. And thank you for, giving back to our listeners and helping us to understand a little bit more of this space that you're in. I love your products. I do use them myself, and I do recommend them to a lot of our clients. So thank you again. Much appreciated for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your show, Frank. And I really enjoyed our chat. And I guess I'll see you soon.
That's right. Well, that's all the time we have for today, folks. I'm Frank Pirri, and on behalf of myself and Marilyn Mitchell, until next time, remember, health equals wealth.
So that's all the time we have today, but there's still so much more to talk about and learn. Head over to healthexpertscanada.com for more ideas on healthy living, and don't forget to like, download, and share this podcast with your friends, just for the health of it.